Hey guys, welcome to the Linux Fundamentals Part 2. Let's get started straight. Let's start with the introduction. Welcome to the second part of Linux Rework Linux Fundamentals series. We'll be applying our knowledge of the first installment in this series, so I highly recommend you to completing that room. In Part 2, we will be teaching in the in-browser functionality and help you get started in what is a fundamental skill in being able to log in to control the terminal of the remote machine. Not only this, but the room will also have you unlock the potential of your first few commands by introducing you to using flags and arguments, advancing your knowledge of the file system to perform some more useful commands such as copying and moving files, introducing you to access mechanisms in place to keep files and folders secure, and how to identify the thing that our current user has access to. Right, let's mark this as completed. Let's start the machine first. It may take few minutes, okay. I think we have to log in using SSH, so I'm going to teach you. Let's start. Access your Linux machine using SSH. The in-browser functionality was used in Linux Fundamentals Part 1 to get you directly connected to your first ever Linux machine without any hassle. In fact, the in-browser functionality uses the same exact protocol that we are going to be using today. This protocol is called Secure Shell or SSH for short, and is the most common means of connecting and interacting with the command line of a remote Linux machine. We will be deploying two machines in this room, your Linux machine and the TryHack machine. What is SSH and how does it work? Secure Shell, or simply SSH, is a protocol between devices in an encrypted form. Using cryptography, any input will be sent in a human readable format is encrypted for traveling over the network, where in the unencrypted once it reaches the remote machine, such as the diagram below. You can learn about various types of encryption on the TryHack menu, but for now, we we only need to understand that SSH allows us to remotely execute commands and another device remotely. Any data sent between the devices is encrypted when it is sent over a network such as internet. Deploying your Linux machine. Okay, it's deployed. Start. If I say start a type box, I think that is for premium users, probably. No, okay. We can also log in using SSH. So I'm gonna show here login SSH using machine. Let's mark it as completed. Let's do it in our browser. Introducing to flags and switches. A majority of commands allow for arguments to be provided. These arguments are identified by a hyphen and a certain keyword known as flags or switches. We'll later discuss how we can identify what command allow for arguments to be provided and understanding what these exactly do. When using a command unless otherwise specified, it will perform its default behavior. For example, ls lists the contents of a working directory. However, hidden files are not shown. We can use the flags and switches to extend the behavior of commands. We already saw ls-la command which we used the flag L and A. Both are different flags to show the permissions and hidden files. In Linux, hidden files are started with the dot. Okay, so let me also explain this here. So if I navigate to desktop and let's create a file called hidden. Okay, so if I you can see the normal ls here, nothing is shown. If I touch dot hidden, the file is created, but if I say ls, the file not will be shown. Okay, so also in the desktop the file is hidden here. Okay, all right, the file is hidden here. And if I say ls dash la, you can see the hidden file here. Also htaccess, and this has some file upload vulnerabilities, so we are gonna discuss it later. You can see the hidden file here. Also on the desktop, let's see how can you show here, show hidden files is there, find in this folder. Okay, let's see, go to desktop. Okay, let's see, let's go to the file explorer, desktop, open folder, and I'm gonna say here, show hidden files. I mean, where is it? I can't find it. Zoom out, zoom in, arrange, find in this folder, open Azure, open terminal here. And probably, yep, it's hidden, but you can see this in terminal, right? I don't know where's the option of, I'm not getting the option here. Open, find in this folder, dot hidden. Okay, it's hidden already. Show hidden files. Okay, let's see. Control H, Control H. Yep, there are. You can see the hidden files. If I say Control H, I just press Control plus H to show the hidden files. Okay, so let's get back here and let's see. The Linux is started, machine is started, and let's open the terminal. Yep, where were we? Hidden files. We just covered hidden files. So where's it? Specify. Alright. However, after using a dash a argument, short for dash dash all, we now suddenly have a output with a few more details and folders such as hidden folder, files and folders with are hidden files. Commands that accept this will have a dash dash help option. This option will list the possible options that the commands accept, provided a brief description and example of how to use it. So let's type in here ls dash dash help, and you should see the help. Okay, these are all the flags that you can use and the description. So dash u do not sort. uh, what we are going to commonly use is dash l dash a. So dash is for long listing, which long listing means showing the owner of the file, permissions of the file, and a is for all the files, even hidden files are shown here. Okay, so let's get ahead. This option, in fact, and formatted output is called manual page. Okay, we already saw a manual page. A manual page are great source of information for both system commands and applications available on both a Linux machine, where it is accessible on the machine itself and online. To access the document, we can use a man command and then provide the command we want to read the documentation for. Using our ls example, we would use man ls to view the manual page. Okay, let's also view the manual page for ls, man ls, and yep, press the down arrow key to navigate down. You can see the formatted version, and just press q to quit. Press q, it will quit. Okay, from the manual page. Let's see, answer the questions below. What directional arrow key would you use to navigate down the manual page? So I just said down arrow key. Yep, that's correct. What flag would you display to output it in a human readable way? Okay, let's find. I think it should be dash h because it starts with human readable. So dash h might be the case here. Actually, we can use grep. Okay, so grep, grep, human in Okay, let me show you how you can pipe one command to another. So if I say here man ls, it will display the manual page. And if I use this pipe sign and then use grep, it will take the output of this man, okay, output like this manual page, and give it to grep. So if I say here grep new man, it show, yep, that is dash h is for human readable. Okay, I hope you understood dash pipe sign. So it's just gonna take the output from this command and give it to grep. Okay, and let's see dash h, and that's correct. Okay, file system interaction continue. We covered some of the most fundamental commands when interacting with the file system on the Linux machine. For example, we covered how to list and find the contents of a folder using ls and find and navigating the file system using cd. In this task, we are going to learn some more commands for interacting with the file system to allow us to create files and folders, move files and folders, and delete files and folders. Okay, touch to create a file. We already saw in the first video. Make directory, mkdir, cp to copy, mv to move, rm to remove, file to determine which file type it is. Pro tip. Similarly, you can Similarly to using cat, we can provide full paths, directory 1, directory 2, note for all these commands. Creating a file and folder, touch and make directory. Creating files and folders on Linux is a simple process. First, we will be creating a file. The touch command takes exactly one argument, the name we want to give the file we create. For example, we want to create a file note by using no touch note. It's worth noting that touch simply creates a blank file. You would need to use the commands like echo or text editors such as nano to add the contents to the blank file. This is a similar process of making a folder which just involves using a make directory command and again providing the name that we want to assign to the directory. For example, creating a directory, my directory using mkdir my directory. Removing files and folders. RM is extraordinary out of commands that we have covered so far. You can simply remove files by using rm. However, you need to provide a dash "r" switch alongside the name of the directory to remove it. Okay, so if you want to remove the file, just rm the file name, and if you want to remove the directory, just rm dash "r" and the directory name. Copying and moving files and folders. I dash "r" is for recursive. Okay. Copying and moving files is an important functionality on Linux machine. Starting with cp, this command takes two arguments, the name of the existing file, the name we wish to assign to the new file when copying. cp copies the entire contents of the file into the new file. In the screenshot below, we are copying node to node2.txt. Okay, no, not txt, just node2. Moving a file takes two arguments, just like the cp command. However, rather than copying or creating a new file, and we will merge or modify the second file that we provide as an argument. Not only can you use mv to move a file to a new folder, but you can also use mv to rename a file or folder. For example, in the screenshot below, we are renaming the file node2 to be renamed as node3. Node3 will now have the contents of node2. Okay, this we already saw how to rename it using mv, and also we can move the file from one place to another. Determining the file type. What is often misleading and often catches people out in is making preemptions of files as of what purpose their contents may be. Files usually have what's known as an extension to make this easier. For example, text files usually have an extension of .txt, but this is not necessary. So far, the files we have used in our examples haven't had an extension. Without knowing the content of why the file is there, we don't really know the purpose. Enter the file command. The command takes one argument. For example, We'll use file to confirm whether or not the note file in our example is indeed a text file like so. File, note, okay. Oh, actually, what? How would you create a file named new note? So touch, new note, submit. On the deployable machine, what is the file type of unknown one? Try xme home directory. Okay, let's see. ls. So I have to, I think, go to slash home slash tryhackme. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I think, oh, actually, we need to SSH in the room. Okay, we need to SSH here. I mean, I just forgot to SSH. So SSH and let's see the username. Let's see. SSH tryhackme and the password is also tryhackme. Okay, tryhackme and the IP is 10.10.47.53. So let's 10.10.47.53 and the password is press type in yes here and the password is tryhackme and I think we should be logged in. So ls here unknown one. So we need to get the contents of unknown one. No, wait, what was the question? File type. Okay, which file type unknown one is? So let's see. Let's use the file command unknown one. Okay, it's ASCII. So let's see ASCII text. Yep, it's correct. How would we move of the my file to the my folder? Okay, this is my file. We wanna you move it to my folder. So mv my file to my folder and it's moved. Okay, you can ls here. It's not present. You can ls my folder. This present my file. Okay, so the command was mv my file to my folder and then a slash ahead. Yep, that's correct. What are the contents of the file? So let's cat my folder. I think it's lagging. Probably let's cat my folder and the file. It's tryhackme file system. Okay, so tryhackme file system, submit, and that's correct. Let's mark it as completed. Permissions 101. So all right, we have seen the permissions in the octal format. Here it might be different. Let's see. Or like they have not discussed. They have just discussed the permissions, not how to change it and how to modify it. So let's start. As you would have already found out by now, certain users cannot access certain files or folders. We previously explained some commands that can be used to determine what access we have and where it leads us. In our previous task, we learned how to extend the use of commands through flags and switches. Take for example the ls command, which lists the contents of the current directory. When using the -l switch, we can see 10 columns such as in the screenshot below. However, we are only interested in the first three columns. Although intimidating, these three columns are very important and determining certain characteristics of a file or folder and whether or not we have access to it. A file or folder have a couple of characteristics that determine both what actions are allowed and what user group has the ability to perform the given action, such as the following. Using su command, switch to user 2. Alright, let's use the synatic.pem. Do we have the file here? Unless No, I think we do not have the file in our initial screenshot. At the top of the task, it has the dash indicator. Highlight that it is the file. Oh, this file, okay, Synatic. So let's also ls dash la here. You can see the permissions, right? So first one is for user, then group, and then global. So and the owner and the group owner. So root is owning this file, user 2 is owning this file, and try me owning this file. Okay. Indicator that is shown RW followed after. This means that only the owner of the file can read and write to this file synatic.pem file but cannot execute. Briefly, the difference between users and group. We briefly explore this in Linux fundamentals part, namely the differences between a regular user and a system user. The great thing about Linux is that permissions can be so granular that user technically owns a file. If the permissions have been set, then a group of the user can also have either the same or a different set of permissions to the same exact file without affecting the file owner itself. Let's put this into a real world context. The system user that runs a web server must have permissions to read and write files for an effective web application. However, companies such as web hosting companies will have you to want to allow the customers to upload their own files to the website web without being the web server system user, compromising the security of every other customer. We learn the commands necessary to switch between users below. Switching between users. Switching between users on a Linux install is very easy work thanks to su commands. Which user command? Unless you are the root user or the root permissions through sudo, then you are required to know two things to facilitate this transition of user accounts. The user we wish to switch to and the user's password. The su command takes a couple of switches that may be relevant to you. For example, executing a command once you log in or specifying a specific shell to use. I encourage you to read a man page for su to find out more. However, I will cover the -l or dash login switch. Simply by providing dash shell switch to su, we start a shell that is much more similar to the actual user logging into the system. We inherit a lot more properties of the new user, that is environment variables and the likes. Switch to user 2. For example, when switching to user 2, the new session drops us onto our previous user's home directory. So where now after using -l, our new session has dropped in the directory of user automatically. Okay, here it is, print and just switch to user 2, type in the password and the user 2. On the deployable machine, who is the owner of important? So the important is user 2, the owner of the user is user 2. So this is the owner and this is the group owner. Okay, the file for important is user 2. What would the command be to switch to user 2? So su user 2 submit and then just complete it. Now switch to the user 2 using the password user 2. Okay, let's see su user 2 and user the password is user 2, enter, and we are user 2. All right, output the contents of important. What is the flag here? So cat important. Oh, what? I think I just placed the colon here. Cat important. Yep, that is thm to acme and su underscore user 2. Okay, continue. Yep. Common directories /etc. This root directory is one of the most important root directories on your file system. The etc folder, short for etc, is a Common place location to store file system that are used by your operating system. For example, the sudo's file highlighted in the screenshot below contains the list of the users and group that have permissions to run sudo or a set of commands as a root user. Also highlighted below are the password and shadow files. These are two files special for Linux as they show your system stores and password for each user in encrypted format called SHA-512/var. The dash var directory with VAR, being short from variable data, is one of the main root folders found in Linux install. This folder stores data that is frequently accessed or written by services or applications running on the file system. For example, log files from running services and applications are written here /var/log, or other data that is not necessarily associated with the specific user. /root. Unlike the home directory, the root user is actually the home of the root user system user. This isn't anything more to this folder other than just understanding that this is the home directory of the root user. But it is worth mentioning that the logical preemption of this user would have that their data in a directory such as home/root by default /temp directory. This is a unique home directory, root directory found in Linux install, short for temporary. The -temp/temp directory is a volatile and is used to store data that is only needed to be accessed once or twice. Similar to the memory on your computer, once the computer is restarted, the contents of this folder is cleared out. What's useful for us in pen testing is that any user can write this folder by default, meaning once you have access to a machine, it serves as a good place to store things like our enumeration scripts. I'd like to read me, answer the questions below. Read me here. What is the directory path that would we accept logs? So we just saw here system logs are stored in system slash var/logs. What root directory is similar to the RAM? So it's temporary. So name the home directory of the user. So the home directory for user is /root, and that's correct. Okay. Now apply your learning and navigate through these directories on the deployed Linux machine. Yep, completed. Conclusion and summaries. Nice work. This room was quite theory heavy and covered quite a range of fundamentals in getting you familiar with Linux. To, re- to quickly recap, this room taught you how to connect a Linux machine remotely using SSH, advancing your use of commands by providing flags, switches, and where you can use to learn more about this each command manual page. Some more commands that you will frequently be using to interact with the file system and its content, a brief introduction to the permissions and switching users, a summary paragraph of the important root directories on the Ubuntu machine install and how we may be able to use the data stored within this. I encourage you to go through the room once or twice to gain some familiarity with the concepts. After all, perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, it's incomplete phase. Practice makes a man perfect. The man is Kayabe. Alright, so let's complete and we are going to cover Linux fundamentals part 3 in the next video. Make sure you they are providing you the machine for free. So make sure you terminate it so that their resources are free and just press here. It will be terminated automatically. Okay. So let's see. That's all. I think that's all for this video. See you in the next video. Be safe. Bye.